Sandra, and I'm back with another video. So today's video is going to be the start of a series I want to do, which is a life after college series. And so today I want to do, just something I've always gotten questions about. And I was like, I know there's other people who are out like me who kind of graduated from college and didn't have a job lined up or didn't know what they wanted to do. So the idea of substitute teaching came about. So I'm going to go over the pros and cons of substitute teaching. So let's start with the pros. Pro number one was that you get to make your own schedule. Like, it was so convenient for me because I like to travel, and some days I used to get sick like a lot. So it was some days to where if I didn't feel like going to work that day, then I didn't have to go. Or if I wanted to go take off, this Friday so I can go on a trip for that weekend, I didn't have to go. The way the system for the one I worked, the district I worked for, how they had it was like online, and basically they would show you like all the assignments available. You can just go in and pick. So that was very, very convenient for me, just because I just never knew how I was going to feel that day, or if I even, and it was also convenient because say if I needed to work like every day, if there was something available that I could work every day. So that worked out. Another pro would be because of the school district, you don't have to work on weekends. So my previous job before I was subbing, I was an assistant manager at an apartment complex. And some apartment complexes are open from 6 to 7 days a week. And it was times where I wanted to travel or I wanted to go do this, and I couldn't because I had to work that Saturday. And so that was another pro. It's just not working on weekends. Another pro would be just the time. You would only work when school was in. I think the longest I've ever stayed at a subbing assignment would be maybe 4:30, only because they may have started school later. But you're never at school until 5. Because you would have, even if you have like after school duty, like bus duty or car duty for that particular teacher you're subbing for, you don't have to do all the after school programs like tutoring and and all this other stuff. So that was always a plus. I would be out of school or off of work by 3:30, 4. Like, it was just great. I didn't have to worry about 5 o'clock traffic, like none of that. Another pro would be, it kind of just depends on the age group. Me personally, I enjoy high school kids, and because they're more mature. The pro that goes with that is kind of like, it's like babysitting. Like, if you babysat before and you get a good group of kids, like, it's gonna be easy. Like, especially when I would have high school students, I'll be like, okay, do your work and get on your phone afterwards. And they're fine. They're like, okay, oh, you're cool. We like you. And because I'm still young, like, they listen to me. They'll listen to me over an older teacher, because we can relate on more stuff. So that was kind of another pro I liked. And even not just with high school kids, when I would do younger kids, like kindergarten and pre-K or even special ed classes, they're so sweet. Like, their minds, they're like, oh, they see a new person and just want to, touch and hug you and tell you they love you and draw you pictures, like, because, they don't have to deal with you every day. So it was just kind of like, I liked it. It actually made me consider teaching, but I'm going to get into the cons. So, yeah. I'm trying to think of any more pros. The pay is okay. It depends on where you sub. Like, when I subbed in this one particular city, it was like $100 a day. And then when I subbed in this other city, it was like $80 to $90 a day. But what I will say is, like, when you have your certification, sometimes, just depending on what district you have, you can get paid more money, or you can have more of like a permanent position. Like, they have permanent subs as well, and they also have like temp to hire, I guess, or temp to hire subs, so where you can start off temporarily, but if you have your certification and they like you and the kids like you, and say the teacher gets fired or goes on maternity leave or whatever, you can get a long-term sub position and you can get paid more. Cons. Con number one for me, which is bad kids. Like, you have to remember that you can't say or do certain kids. Like, for instance, I'm the oldest of 5. So if one of my siblings gets out of line, I just jack them up real quick, tell them don't do this, don't do that. You can't touch other people's kids when you're subbing. You can't cuss out other people's kids when you're cubbing. Not that I condone cussing out kids, but I mean, who hasn't been cussed out by their parents before? You can't, jack up kids. You can't threaten other people's kids. And you can't go off or pop off on other people's kids. You can barely yell. Not saying I've never yelled at the kids before, but, it's a different way you got to do it. Also, so that's con number one, just bad kids. Like, that, for me, that's why I don't want to be a teacher full time. Like, I don't have the patience. I don't know how teachers do it. Like, teachers don't get paid enough. Like, they just don't. Like, they just don't. So, yes, con number one, bad kids. Con number two, availability. So, like I was saying before in my pro section, you can get paid. I mean, not paid. Well, that too. But you make your schedule, right? But sometimes there aren't assignments always available. So, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to work every day this week and my check is going to be great. And then they don't need you. Or there's been times where I went to the school and they're like, oh, we don't need you, and I didn't get paid for that day. Now later on, I found out that I should have called my supervisor and I could have got paid for that day, but I didn't know that at the time. But so if that happens, always call your supervisor and be like, hey, I was there and I made it. And even if they don't pay you for the whole day, they should compensate you for at least half the day for driving there. But yeah, so like it would be times where days aren't available. Also, along with that, because you're on the school schedule, say that they go on Christmas break or spring break, you don't get paid for that time because you're not a full-time employee. Yeah, you're not a full-time employee. So that's like Christmas break is like a month. That's a month of no pay. And if subbing is your only job that you're like leaning on, that really puts like a really big dent in your pocket. Also, spring break is the same way. So just think about that. Like, subbing is, I'm not saying it can't be a full-time position, because for me, I made it one because I started working at 2 different districts. So for me, it was like, if there's nothing available in the town I'm staying in, then I wouldn't mind driving to the next town over so that I could work that day. And so I was subbing at 2 towns at one time. So that's like, I guess, a solution to that one, to the availability option, or not option, but the availability con is just to sub in more than one district. Another con would be, I guess, training. Like for me, I used to do special ed classes, and that was scary for me because, like, I thought going in I wouldn't have any patience and I would get annoyed. And I hate to say that, but, I'm not trained. So you can't say if a student is being bad in a special ed class, you can't be like, hey, stop doing it, because it may trigger something and they may explode and act worse. And there's been times where I've been in that situation. I didn't personally upset this student, but, like, another teacher did, and they had to restrain the student. He was trying to stab people, and it's crazy. And it's crazy how they put subs in these positions for that they're not trained for. And to this day, I never understood like why they did it, but at the same time, I did well in that position. Now, I'm not saying that if any other sub can't do well, but I just feel like you have to have some kind of control over yourself and some kind of like patience to deal with those type of kids. So that's what I meant by training. I just feel like sometimes they just throw you in, or you'll go show up to an assignment thinking that you're gonna, do language arts and reading, and they'll throw you in PE, and you're just like, I'm not a coach. I wasn't trained to do that. So how am I supposed to, Or there's been times where I went and I thought I was gonna do be a math sub, and they threw me in a special ed class. And I didn't know I remember I had one kid, he got fed through a tube, had no idea how to do that, and he could have thank God there were other people, like teacher aides in the classroom that were helping, because if I was just there by myself, like, he probably could have died or something, because I didn't know how to feed him. There's other ones that have to take medicine in like this hourly time. There was kids that you have to take to the restroom every hour, because if not, they would pee on themselves. I just feel like the whole training thing is very, very important, and it would make me so mad when they would just throw me in situations, and that's happened a lot as well. Another con would, I guess, kind of still be the pay as well. You know, they don't get paid a lot. Like, it's basically like working $10 an hour when you're subbing. But I mean, at the same time, I guess that pays better than no pay. So I mean, it's up to you. But because you're getting paid so little, it would suck if nothing was available. So then, you know, you're thinking that you're gonna get like a check so you can pay your rent, but you really only got $200 check. You know, like, that's it. I'm trying to think of another con. Another con. Oh my gosh, I used to hate this. Another con would be, I don't even know what number I'm on, so I'm just gonna say another con. Another con is when you show up to your assignment and the teacher leaves nothing for the kids to do. Oh my gosh, that was the most annoying thing ever. Like, I would show up and they'll be like, oh, well, the teacher just called in this morning. She just called in sick. I'm like, okay, so what the kid's supposed to do? Oh, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Like, at that moment, you got to come up with, like, games and stuff. And, of course, the kids, they're going to, oh, that's my next con. The kids are going to try to take advantage of you because you are a substitute. They think you don't know anything. They think they can get over on you. And you don't, and if the teacher doesn't leave anything for you to go by, then, I mean, who's to say that the kids aren't lying? They're like, oh, well, Miss So-and-so said that we can get on our phones. Like, you know, like, how would you know if they're lying or not? There's been times where that's happened, and I'm like, no, you can't get on your phones. And then they'll go and get another teacher, and they're like, oh, we actually let them on their phones. It was like, well, no one told me. You know, it's like little stuff like that. So, like, when the teachers don't leave anything, and not even like, you know, at that moment, I would go to the office or send a student and be like, hey, the teacher left anything, didn't leave anything, what should I do? Sometimes they just bring back a laptop and be like, here's a Netflix, watch a movie, or here's a worksheet, tell them to do this. Like, just depending on the age group that you have. Other than that, my experience with subbing, it really hasn't been that bad. I think that the areas definitely make a difference on my experience. I would say that one city in particular, I hate subbing there. But the city I just moved to, I like it better. The kids are just different. They're raised differently. I'm not going to put it on as a race thing, because I think it's about their surrounding areas, not so much their ethnicity. So, yeah, but you just have to have a lot of patience. You have to be understanding with the children. And you just got to try your best. It's honestly just like babysitting. Only time you really just have to work hard is if, like I said, you have a situation where there's nothing for the kids to do. Or if you just have a really, really bad student that's being disruptive. That's like the only time I really just had to like think of, okay, what should I do? Because I can't hear them.